So I'd like to call to order the August 13th, 2020 Historic Districts Commission meeting. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means for public access pursuant to an order issued by the Governor of Massachusetts dated March 12, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. So with that, I just want to kind of run down the list of applications tonight and confirm voting members in any conflicts. So the first hearing, 8 Pond Street, we appointed Ben and Justin to participate last time. I know Catherine had a conflict there. So Ben and Justin, you still good on that one? Okay. The second one, 37 Fearing Road, we appointed Tracy. Tracy, if you're still good with that. And then on 105 North Street, we appointed Robert, but as Robert is not on at the moment, I'd like to appoint Ben in his place on that one. Ben, are you okay on that one? All right, and then the rest are new applications. Are there any conflicts with any of the new applications? Nope.
Hey, Mike.
Yep, Hans?
Yeah, 962 Main Street.
Yep.
I'm going to recuse myself on that one.
Okay. All right, so then 38 North, if I could appoint Ben for that.
Okay.
And 962 Main with Hans, not voting on that. I'd like to appoint Justin and Ben again on that. You guys are good with that?
Yep, that's fine.
57 59 North Street, we still need a fifth. If Justin, you wouldn't mind being the fifth on that. And then the last one, 699 Main. Ben, if you wouldn't mind being the fifth on that.
Okay.
Okay. And then once we call to a vote, I'll just reiterate the voting members so it's all clear as we go forward. So. Okay, now that we've got the business out of the way, the first application is 8 Pond Street. Welcome back, team. I think where we left off on this last, obviously this is the replacement of the windows on the existing house. And I think where we last left it was there was some acceptance to replacing the windows. I think the discussion was really what will they be replaced with? And I think the applicants were going to look a little bit into some additional options for consideration. So I think that's where we left off. So if you guys want to start, go through, see what we got this week.
Sure, thank you. Chris Diorse from Campbell Smith Architects. If I can share my screen, I will just go through briefly the package that we sent in.
Okay. Sherry will get you there.
Okay, I think you can see excuse me, an image now of the house.
Yep.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So there are 13 windows in the existing building. These are just photographs to remind you of the condition of the existing house. There are 4 windows on the front on the street side, and then 9 windows on each gable. So I would like to talk about these windows in 3 groups. So of these 13 windows, we've got 3 groups, and we're going to ask about them in these 3 groups. The first group is the 4 windows in the front of the house that face Pond Street. So these are shown here as T1 through T4. The second group of windows are the gable windows, and I want to split the gable windows into 2 different types, second floor and first floor. So those are the 3 groups, the front windows on the first floor facing the street, and then the second floor windows on the gable and the first floor windows on the gable. What we've got is the Nantucket sash window. I think you guys are familiar with this. This is a really good solution to a historic window. They are wood windows. They're clear. What does it say here? I think they're clear fir, believe it or not. 5/8" mutton bars with a putty profile on the exterior. They have a deep profile. There it is right there. Pretty nice. Single glaze, true divided light, and we would use a single sheet energy panel or storm window from a third party that would cover the entire window opening, and that could be switched out for a full screen if needed. So that is what we are proposing for the first group of windows, for the 4 windows on Pond Street that face the street. Currently, on the second floor gable, there is insulated glass, and on the first floor gable, it's single pane, true divided light. So we've got mixed window sash on one wall. So I am hoping the commission would consider replacing these windows with one type of window on the first and second floor, and that would be an insulated glass window that we showed you at the site visit. That would be this product here from LePage. There is an option that we found that I don't think is a great option, but it's not out of the question. And that is the Marvin single glaze true divided light unit, not the Nantucket sash, but their generic, if you will, true divided light. And that has an energy panel that's integrated into the sash so that the window can be opened and closed without removing or installing storms or screens. So it operates just like a true divided, just like an insulated glass simulated divided light window. However, it is a true divided light single glazed. One of the reasons this is not top of the list is the mutton bars are 7/8, which is much wider than I think what we're looking for. And the energy panel is routed out into the sash, covering the mutton bars and the true divided lights, giving it a grill between the glass appearance. So this window would satisfy the requirements of true divided light, but in looking at it, it doesn't really have the appearance of a historic window. So the client here would very much like to have operable windows without having to seasonally change out storms and screens. So I guess that's just the highlight. Here we are. This is the building we're talking about. And just to give you an update on the barn dormer, there it is. So I'm happy to take questions.
All right, thanks for the presentation. Carol?
Yes, Christopher, why not use the Nantucket throughout? I may have missed something, but is it an expense issue or?
It could be an expense issue. We don't have a price on that yet, but I know they're very expensive windows. It's functional.
Okay.
We would like to be able to open and close the window without seasonally changing out storms and screens. The second floor is more of a challenge, getting up on a ladder, pulling off a 5 foot by 3 foot or 2.5 by 4.5 foot sheet of storm window, replacing it with a screen. Right now, those are insulated glass, so you can operate them. So I would like if we could stipulate that replacing in kind on the second floor gable windows anyway we could use an insulated product. Our request is to also do that on the first floor gable to have the functionality of a insulated glass window so that we're not mixing two different window sash on the same wall.
Right, yeah.
Anything else, Carol?
No, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hans?
Thanks, Mike. Chris, thank you for the drawings and the package that you submitted to us. Can we just back up a bit? What is the reasoning behind replacing all these windows?
Right now, there are 3 different window types in the house. The 3 groups that I talked about were replaced at different times. They're different sash. Wish Ben was on the call because he knows a little bit more about it. He's been there on site more than I have. Ideally, we wanted a little more consistency with the whole project. It's a very large project. It's a huge renovation and addition. And the window sash that are there now are contemporary sash, fit in the replacement sash, fit into what appears to be Victorian era frames. Even the size, it looks like, has changed from the original window. So we don't see that there is historical value in what's present there today.
Are they functional?
Yes,
Do you know the age of the windows?
2015.
The age of the windows that were put in on the lower level?
The sash is 2015. The frames inside the timber structure appear to be Victorian era, according to Ben, based on his review after the interior demolition.
Andrea, can I ask just a little bit of history here with this, just to refresh my memory? So Mr. Stewart came in a couple of years back to do some work on the windows here, and there was a lot of back and forth. He came in multiple times.
Yes.
And we ended up going with an SDL. He ended up going with an SDL on the top floor. The reasoning was, look, he had to get in there to do some cleaning. He wanted to be able to, he didn't want to go up on a ladder to clean that. So the commission agreed to that on the top floor, but I'm also remembering he wanted to swap out and do some work with the rest of the windows on the first floor.
Yes.
But we agreed to the top floor because it was it was a servicing issue and he wanted to maintain those.
So they're the tilt.
Yes, and that's how I remember how that went. Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that is correct.
Yeah. So he wanted to do some work on the other windows. This is original Cape. We wanted to. I think Mr. Stewart wanted to maintain the house, keep it intact. The commission was, really didn't want to do anything, was opposed to doing work with the other windows. So that's kind of how we left it and how I remembered it. And I can't remember if a vote was actually taken on the other windows, but I know those weren't replaced. The position was restoration. Let's see if we can work with what's there. Is that how you remember it?
Well, if you, I can pull up the minutes. I consolidated all the minutes for 8 Pond Street windows. So I can put them on my screen if Sherry can let me do that. But hang on, let me just get.
And just to go on while you're doing that, I know, it's unfortunate that Ben's not here to kind of walk us through the condition and what he'd like to do on these windows, but it's certainly been the commission's position with every applicant that we encourage restoration before we swap out windows. It's kind of a last resort, and that's how the approach we've taken with every applicant that's come in. In the event that a window can't be restored, it's inoperable, the swap out is like for like. So I know these are all true divided light windows on the first floor still. We did allow simulated divided light because we didn't think that was going to impact the street view of the windows and how they look, the light going through. So it wasn't, it wasn't as visible as some of the other windows on the first floor. So that's the history as I remember with the windows.
I do have the minutes if,
I have the minutes if you need them.
do I have to do anything, Sherry?
No,
Share screen.
I made you co-host. You should be able to share your screen.
Oh, good. Okay. So let's see, here we go. All right, ready? So the first time Mr. Stewart came before the commission was January the 29th, 2015. And let's see, his proposal is to replace the current wood windows with clad simulated divided light windows with a tilt option. So we explained that clad would not be approved. He estimated that the windows were probably 70 years old. And Commissioner Tay at the time suggested that they should be repaired. Mr. Stewart said he would not consider repairing the windows. And Mike, you pointed out that the commission does not approve simulated divided light windows on the original portion of an historic home. So anyway, Mr. Stewart said that he does not want to use storm windows. Anyway, the whole upshot was that it was agreed that the windows most likely had a 5/8 inch muntin, and Mr. Klutz then said, let's see a window of what you're proposing. So then he came back on February the 12th. Oh no, he couldn't attend the meeting on the 12th. So he was continued to the 19th of March. So, let's see what he did then. He advised the commission that he withdrew his requests to replace 2 windows in the kitchen and to install the request to install vinyl windows. He's proposing now to install Marvin wood tilt wash simulated divided light. Mr. Stewart talked about what he's done over the years to maintain the cape. He stated the windows that are replaced are not original to the house and are 70 years old. They don't open and they don't provide ventilation and are hard to clean. So Commissioner D'Angelo at the time went to look at the windows and agreed with Mr. Stewart that the windows are 50 to 70 years old and are not operable. A discussion about the appearance of the tilt wash windows left the commission members unconvinced from the exterior. One could not discern that the window could tilt. So as it turned out, you can read, Mr. Stewart said that he has researched a lot of windows and there is nothing out there that has the quality of the Marvin window he proposed. He said he would not do any more research and would not repair the existing windows. So Commissioner von der Luft said the commission had to vote on the current proposal and asked for a motion. So you did that, Hans. You made a motion to approve the application for windows submitted for 8 Pond Street. Then he's back on April the 30th. He had again gone shopping for windows. He reiterated that he wants a 12/12 wood window that will tilt so that he can wash it. He doesn't want a storm and he will not repair. The window manufacturer did not make the window he wanted with a 5/8 inch muntin. There's not a lot out there, agreed Mr. D'Angelo. Mr. D'Angelo at the time said you couldn't tell the difference just by looking at it, whether it was tilt or not tilt. So anyway, there was a lot of back and forth. Commissioner Minor made a motion to continue the discussion of 8 Pond Street. So we're back now, we're into July 2015. And the final decision was to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 8 Pond Street to replace 8 windows. 4 windows on the second floor gable ends of the main house and 4 windows on the first floor. The replacement windows will be wood with single pane true divided lights. Second floor windows will have a 12/12 muntin pattern. First floor windows will have a 6/6 pattern. All windows will have 5/8 inch muntin profile. The trim and detail of all new windows will match existing windows. Approved windows include Marvin Nantucket style windows and Colby Heritage windows, and the purchase of custom wood windows. And restoration of windows is approved as an alternative to replacement. So basically we allowed him to replace 8 windows.
Andrea, the 4 windows on the first floor, were those in the back by the kitchen
Yeah,
that you couldn't see?
they were part of the kitchen addition, yes.
Yeah, they were back behind the house, correct?
They were not that easily visible.
Right. Okay. Thank you for going through that. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
So I think, and if I'll just add, and I appreciate the history on where we are, and I think it shows some consistency in our thinking, not only there, but throughout the other applications with, true divided light for true divided light, single pane on an existing historic structure. I think, I know, there's been some discussion about the age of the existing windows, and the earlier application with the prior owners suggesting 50 to 70. I think that's probably consistent with what Ben Wilcox referenced in one of the earlier meetings, give or take. I think the windows had been replaced over several times, at least the sashes anyway, and that these were probably last done in maybe the 60s or 70s. So, I'm not sure the historic significance of what's there and its repair. But I think in terms of, consistency of what we're trying to accomplish here of replacement of true divided light to true divided light, I think is something we need to, continue to consider here. And, my thoughts would be that, it's the Nantucket Marvin window on all of the first floor with the option to replace those 4 on the second floor with a new simulated divided light window of, matching some other cut that you may have here, but that, consistency, the first floor versus the second floor, I think it sounds like there could be some opportunity to do something different if you wanted, but, I think we need to be careful in, we've been consistent all along with those true divided light for true divided light. And I don't know that this is any different from any other application to change the thinking on. There doesn't seem to be any reason to do that in this application.
Could I ask one question? Oh, Bridget, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, thank you. So just to be sort of reiterate, the reason that I am looking to change the windows is aesthetics. I have not tried to open what is existing there, but I do know they're not close to original windows. So And I have been told there have been 6/6s before the 12/12s came in. So I felt like we had a little freedom, or it was an opportunity to sort of think about, you know, changing them out for a little nicer look. We've given this a lot of thought, and we're all spending, I think, a lot of time on this. And I would be amenable to having true divided light all on the first floor. I was trying to limit it to the front solely for the purpose of being able to open the windows for fresh air anytime I wanted to. And we were thinking that we thought it might look okay and you might be amenable to it because we have the simulated divided light on the top. So that's why we sort of presented that to you, thinking that that consistency of windows on the gables might be nice, considering that the LePage true simulated divided light, which we would use, is very comparable to the Marvin Nantucket that would be in the front. So that's why we've been pushing for that. If you really cannot consider that, then I'll put true divided light all on the first floor of the original house. I would like the simulated divided light on the second floor in the bedrooms. But I will say, sort of from an aesthetic, and I appreciate everything you're saying, but we're either going to have a storm panel or storms and screens, aluminum storms and screens. And I guess I can't wrap my head around why that's a nicer look than, you know, a simulated divided light window that looks good. So, but I don't want this to drag out any further. So,
Thanks, Bridget.
Okay.
Hans?
Just to follow up on that comment, Bridget, if you want, you know, if you're concerned about the aesthetics and the matching, you know, you could go back to a true divided light on the second floor. Your call.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is, again, fresh air. Bedrooms, I don't like the thought at all of having a storm panel, a single storm panel that has to be removed seasonally on a bedroom window. That doesn't sound very safe to me. So I would rather not do that on the bedroom windows, absolutely. But thank you. And we are asking for 6/6s because they have existed before on the front, on the main house, and certainly on the old L. So that's the reasoning. Thank you.
No, I think a true divided light solution, 6/6 all around, seems like it would be a very straightforward thing to approve.
Mm-hmm.
Could I make one clarifying question?
Sure.
I just need to share my screen. So for the true divided light option that we're offering, we have the Nantucket sash, which you see here, for at least the front 4 windows facing the street. There is another option of a true divided light window from Marvin with an integrated energy panel here. Would this be an acceptable solution from the commission as the true divided light?
That one, does that one have a, are those just in the 7/8 mutton bar?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that the 5/8 mutton bar I think is more appropriate for this application.
So if the requirement is 5/8 inch mutton bar true divided light, there's only one window out there that, apart from a custom built window, that's the Marvin Nantucket. So am I understanding that the Marvin Nantucket sash is the only commercially available window that would be approved?
I'm not, Ben, do you have any information on other true divided light windows with 5/8?
So Brosco makes one, Boston Sash makes one, and I believe Colby, if I remember correctly, when Gary Tondorf Dick came in and spoke with us.
Okay. Well, it sounds like there are a few out there. So, are there any other comments from any of the commission members or anybody else? So, okay. So I think you know, in the interest of moving everybody ahead here, I would recommend a motion in that, the motion includes a window. And then if there's an alternate window that is found, a manufacturer that's different, then, provide that for consideration in potentially another application. But I think, in order to sort of move everybody along here, I think a motion with a particular window based on what was submitted, I think would be a good move, which I think would sort of get everybody moving along.
I can make a motion if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks, Ben.
I'd like to make a motion for 8 Pond Street, replacing windows on the first and second floor of the original volume, the Cape. Plans dated July 30th, 2020, HTC 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3. Replacement of the front windows to be true divided light. All wood construction 5/8 mutton bar, 6/6. Replacement of gable ends first floor to be true divided light, 5/8 mutton bar, all wood construction 6/6. Gable end second floor windows at the applicant's discretion, true divided light or simulated divided light, 5/8 mutton bar, all wood construction.
Remarkably succinct. I second.
I would like to add that the trim package will be identical to what's already there on the exterior. I think that was detailed.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. So I heard a second from Justin. So just to confirm, the voting members for this application would be Hans, Carol, myself, Ben, and Justin.
Before we go too far, could I just, I think I specified flat casing. The back band on those windows appears to be a later addition.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris, you're right. I remember that discussion. I think primarily my concern would be you showed some detailing of a historic sill with the flat casing projecting beyond the trailing edge of the siding.
Yes, we'll use 5/4 at least flat casing with 2-inch thick sills and extended horns.
I do remember the discussion of the back band being additive. So do I need to revise that motion, Mr. Chairman?
If you could just add it. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, so just including in the motion that it would be a historic sill, a thick historic sill, all wood, flat casing, back band without back band, and the casing is to project beyond the trailing edge of the clapboard siding.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. Is there a second?
Second.
Justin? Okay. Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good
See
luck.
you again. Thank you.
Take care. Okay. Next up is 37 Fearing Road, which is a continuation of last month. I do understand there was a site visit. My apologies, I was not able to attend, but thank you for having everybody out there. Why don't you sort of sort of give us an update on the project, anything that may have changed, or any thoughts since we last spoke.
Sure. Am I on? I'm not sure. I think Chris is still signed on. Hello?
Oh,
We
to
can hear
share-
you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So since the last meeting, well, I guess the points in the last meeting were that the garage is sort of becoming part of the main dwelling due to the connection of the hallway. So what I would propose is to dress up the trim of the existing garage, and really create more of a character with the existing house. If I could share my screen, I can show you. Oops, 1 second here. Can everyone see the drawings in front of them?
The view for me just changed to something I see auto levels and contrast settings and saturation settings. It might be a different screen.
We saw it for a second.
How about now? Is it?
It's changing. Seeing sort of a blank white space at the moment.
Sorry, 1 second here. It should pop up for you. Can you see it now?
Not yet. I see a mouse on a white background.
It's rather narrow, Brad.
It is. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a very narrow vertical rectangle. Maybe try unsharing and resharing or something.
Sure. 1 second here. Is that working yet?
Nope.
Sorry for the difficulties.
Try view options.
Yeah, no change yet, Brad.
I don't have a view option. That's still not working?
No.
No. Often it's during the startup of the sharing dialogue where you get to pick a window or a screen, or there are various options that come up during that moment.
Yes.
So now we see you.
Now we see Justin.
Oh,
There we go.
There it is. That's it.
Good work.
Sorry about that. Okay. So from the comments of the last meeting, I changed the trim on the garage to match the existing main dwelling.
Good thought.
You can see in this view, the rake is matching the rake of the porch addition with historic eave returns, and also new corner boards to match the existing main dwelling. So those are 4.5-inch corners thick.
okay.
Would like to keep the same roof line, but I did step back the porch by 1 foot off of the garage, and that'll allow for a gutter to drain down this wall beside the porch. If there's any other questions, I'd be.
And so with those, and maybe this is a question for Andrew, did those, the drawings that you just showed us, were those resubmitted, or is this the first time sharing this?
There's nothing about the design that's changed. It's just that one trim, just the rake on the garage.
That's
But
correct.
essentially, the design is the same.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Brad. Okay. Any comments from the commission members?
I'll start.
Hi, everybody. I'm in the Adirondacks, and so my connection is sketchy, so I'm going to phone and video. Hopefully you can hear me. But I can't see the front facade. If you could just shift it back so the main front is visible, the main, the forward facade. Because the Zoom screen is blocking.
Oh, the Zoom screen. Sorry.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, everybody. I'm going to unmute again, or mute again.
All right. Go ahead, Carol.
Yes, I think that was a brilliant idea. The garage looks like it actually has something to do with the house now. And while it's still diminutive next to that wonderful big building, it just sort of says, I'm here too, and I belong. I do have a question that I didn't notice while we were there. What would be the distance between the new first floor wall and door and the post? Is there actually room in there for a chair? It appears to be like 2 feet or something. Could you put a rocker in there, or is this just a faux?
There's between the garage and, I'm sorry, what corner?
No, from the back door of the house where you'll come out now onto the porch.
Yep.
To those 4 pillars. Is there room for chairs in there?
Yes, there's 4 feet to the columns. So there's
Okay. Okay. It appears to be narrow, but good. I think this is a big improvement.
Yeah, and it is a small site. It's I think the relatively limited options.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts? Hans?
Me again. It's me again. So I think this is a great change to what you had presented originally. And I think the challenge with this project is marrying this very stately home with fantastic trim work and corbels to a relatively plain and simple garage. I'm wondering if lowering the bit of roof that connects the garage to the main body of the house a foot if possible, maybe it could be cathedral inside, and just lowering it allowed the garage to stand a little proud of the connector, which would give a little more mass to the garage itself. Is that a possibility?
So I'm already fighting for headroom in there. Where the top of the garage wall is much below, or about 3 feet below where the top of the wall of the addition is. I'm stepping down in the interior already. And so as you can see from the building section, building on the first floor, the rest of the roof is really justified by this 4 and 12 slope of the farmer's porch. And that connection continues to the back. So really that roof line is kind of the best it can be right now.
Is that a flat roof in there, or is it a cathedral? Flat ceiling, I'm sorry.
Flat ceiling. It's a flat.
So if you cathedral that, couldn't you get a little bit more height?
Well, I also need to get structure and collar ties in there, and I really can't go beyond the ridge of the garage height. So really lowering that roof would really between the addition and the existing garage roof. The garage roof is a difficult situation to work with. So I feel like this solution works for drainage and really avoiding rot scenarios later on.
I had one other thought regarding just the disproportionate mass of the garage to the main house, and trying to make that maximize the garage mass compared to the main body of the home. And I wondered if potentially making that window that's in that little vestibule area, that connector space, smaller, adds a little bit more siding to that facade, and then just creates a little bit, a trick of the eye, a little bit more mass of the garage to balance this enormous, big, tall home. That was another thought I had.
Okay, and on what elevation?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at A4. It's just the front elevation.
Okay.
There's a window in that space we're talking about where it steps down between the garage and the addition.
I'm sort of looking through the porch area.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sort of in between the columns and the first
Exactly.
window. Yes.
So I'm just wondering if making that window maybe a small 4-pane window would add to the mass of the garage a little bit and help balance that imbalance a little bit.
Sure, I think that's the windows
And then
are I'm sorry.
Oh, no, and I have one other suggestion just while I have the floor, because I have all these technological problems happening. I just wanted to speed it in while I had you. I was looking also again at A4, the front elevation, and I totally appreciate the trim and casings all being replicated on the addition, but because the spaces in the addition are so much more petite compared to the large planes of the main home, I feel like it's a little crowded on the porch. And I'm wondering if there's a way, especially on that front facade, to simplify that view a bit, because the casings are quite chunky along that porch roof. And I'm wondering if potentially by mimicking the roof line on the bow window, it creates a dark plane there, and it's less busy and less heavy and less it brings everything, your eye down, and brings the bulk down and the mass of it down, reducing it in comparison. So again, it's tied into the mass of the garage, and it all just, your eye settles down a bit. So I'm wondering if there's a way to create a bow, what do you call that? A hip roof type roof line on that porch.
We did explore the option of putting a pediment on, if I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying is to change the roof line over the door. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
So we did explore putting a kind of portico pediment over the here, but it did give off kind of a busier look than the client was really wanting. So we did stick with just the simple shed roof. And really the idea behind that was to keep the addition simple, as opposed to the kind of elegance of the trim on the existing house with the corbels.
Yeah, I agree. I think the shed works well. I guess I'm just trying to reduce the heft of it and the appearance of the mass of it from the front facade. And I just didn't know if maybe you could have the shed come out and then taper down to mimic the bow window, so that from the front you're not seeing all that hefty casework along that triangle that faces the front along the porch
Okay.
roof line.
I could
You know what I mean? I can articulate enough.
minimize I guess I could minimize the trim on the rake board. The rest of the trim is gutter, and really the construction of the porch cornice itself. Really bringing down those elements wouldn't really do much to simplify anything, but I think that where you are pointing to on the front elevation would be this kind of heavier rake here, and I could definitely bring down the breeze board so that there's siding material on that kind of triangle that you're seeing there.
Yeah, I'd love to see an alternative for that, just so it blends in with the roof line of the garage, and I'm just trying to solve the bulk of it and create the illusion that the garage mass is larger than it is. That's what my concern is. I'll let someone else go for now.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
Hans, oh, sorry, Brad, you were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lost as to the character of the garage roof really has to remain the same. What we're planning to do is to trim out and so I'm just trying to understand where we move or change the addition to address the character of the garage, because the client really doesn't want to put so much expense into the existing garage. That's kind of the direct.
I'll just say from my sense of it, I was not concerned by the mass of that piece of porch myself, but that's just my impression of it.
Hans, you had a comment?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Brad, thank you for the additional drawings. I had a chance to go out there today. I wasn't at the site visit on Saturday. I apologize for that, but I did go out today. This is a really challenging property. I understand what you're trying to do here by getting a porch and connecting these two, but my comments that I made last time are unchanged. I think marrying these two is problematic. I think there should be space between this garage, this really small garage, even a shed in the main house. So I think there should be some room there. I think connecting these two and putting some additional trim work on there to make it match the porch, it makes look like it was all done at the same time. I would like to see some differentiation between the two and to show that these were built at different times and this was an addition. Now it looks like this was all put together at the same time, which it wasn't. So I would like to see these two masses broken up because of the size of this garage. I think just connecting it is really, it's still drawing your eye to it. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's compatible. I like to see you continue to work with this and maybe somehow take some of these suggestions that were made, or in my view, add some space between the two. I think that's the best way to do it, or eliminate the garage altogether. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other commission members with some thoughts?
I found the site visit very helpful, and I actually like the way it's been proposed. I mean, the house has been. I think it looks as though it's been added to with those on the third floor. Those
Farmers.
yeah, Yeah. So I mean, the house has been added to before, and this I just don't have a problem with the way that it's proposed. It looks fine to me.
Thanks, Robert. Carol?
I might add too that there's a similar conundrum in my neighborhood, and they did connect with what looks very much to me like what Brad has proposed here. The difference being that the original house isn't as big and grand. It's the same design, but it's much smaller. And the garage is an antique barn, original to the property and huge. So while they're connected with the farmer's porch and all that, it doesn't have this same juxtaposition of these big and little structures together. I think this is a challenge, and I think that maybe just making the garage look a little more important and blend with the house, short of taking it down and building a garage, a big barn or something. I think that's the best you can do to get what the homeowner's looking for and yet not be too jarring to the eye when you look at the property.
Thanks, Carol. Ben?
So Brad, to Hans's point, typically we look for an addition to have, it tips its hat to the original volume, but it's not a complete duplicate. So that when someone sees the house, it's clear what is the original volume to show the stages that the house went through in terms of history. And then some of Catherine's point about the heaviness of maybe some of the casing detail. I think that also gets fixed if you just, I don't know, step down the trim package some. And the only other thing I'd like to point is as I look from the street with these drawings you've done, I'm looking for a period at the end of the sentence. So as I look down the driveway, I see this garage, which is too short. I would say that roof needs to be raised, and maybe that will solve some other problems that we're having here. And that would then, in fact, be the period at the end of the sentence, because right now I see a comma.
Thanks, Ben. Has the applicant considered any modifications to that garage other than sort of the trim that we've been discussing? I mean, would raising that roof be an option? Because I think that makes a lot of sense what Ben just described, and sort of the new addition and the garage kind of being together, which is maybe a little different than the main house in the significance of the house, and sort of the new addition in the garage sort of in a way in terms of its detail kind of dialed down. But I think if the proportions and you know, what I'd hate to see is sort of the flip side to say, okay, well, we're going to try and squeeze in a 2-car garage there, because I don't think that's the right thing here. But I think if there was an opportunity to raise,
I really don't know.
Right. And I think I think to me, this seems to be on its way to being a good solution for a unique property. And I think if there's an opportunity to maybe raise that roof and sort of bring it, you know, not a lot, but sort of just to kind of bring up the scale of that, as opposed to sort of adding trim to kind of give it a little more scale, which, you know, might not be the most appropriate way to go about it. Hans?
Just a question for a zoning related question. You know, given where this garage is on the lot, when you start changing the mass of it and connecting it to the house, I'm wondering if it brings in a zoning complication. I'm not sure. I know if you can go up, but when you start changing the footprint, I know it creates a zoning question.
So I am within all the allowable setbacks.
Is the garage though?
Garage is non-conforming.
Right.
Connecting it to the hallway is a by right connection.
And he's not conditioning the garage, so that's okay. He has it by right. if you were to change it to a finished space, that would be a zoning issue.
And I think in terms of raising the roof, maybe it's a couple of feet. It's not another story on top, but it just gives that a little bit more scale to be the period as opposed to the comma, as Ben so elegantly described.
I would have to review with the client to see if they, want the added expense of basically rebuilding the garage, because that's what it will take. Is the roof.
I'm not a builder, but why would it take redoing the whole garage? You can't just lift that roof a few feet?
Well, the roof is going to come off, and part of the gable wall will come off. And once we're down to that end, then we're really into almost a full rebuild. The best route as to tacking onto the existing garage framing, which isn't the best condition, but again, we would have to review the structure and see, what the best plan of attack would be.
Brad, do you know the pitch of that garage roof as it relates to the main facade, the front pitch?
Yes. Is that this one?
Yeah, the garage pitch. Do you know what that is compared to the front facade of the house?
So the existing house is a 10 and 12. The garage is about an 8 and 12.
So rather than changing the plate height, if you change the pitch of the garage roof to a 10?
Yes, it'll still have, I feel like it would still have the same character as to what I'm proposing. But I can do it.
Then would it get at what you're concerned about if the trim didn't try so hard to replicate the main body of the house and try to look a little different?
It's a ridge height issue.
Yeah.
So Brad, what's the width of the garage?
Is 1 second here. It's about 12, I believe 12 feet.
So if my math is correct, if you went to a 10 pitch, you'd be going up another foot.
Yeah, correct.
I have another, just a quick question here. Did the homeowners see, what was their vision for the farmer's porch? Were they picturing sitting there in the evenings? I'm just wondering if having the columns and that heavy trim and the casings is adding to the mass of the house compared to the garage, and if simplifying the entry point to maybe just a little gable or a raised shed or something simple in the middle, and reducing some of the other parts of it. Maybe that's a potential solution.
We had explored the option of a portico centered over the door, but it created kind of a busy look, so we opted to go with the shed roof with a gutter line straight across.
Tracy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think everyone's made some good points. My concern last time was how it connects to the house, and I think I'm probably more in line with most of Hans's comments than any. I think this addition really changes the character of this house. It changes it completely changes the front entry of the character of the house, and it has a big impact on the public realm, the views from the public realm.
Thanks, Tracy. So I think to sort of try and wrap up the thoughts and sort of consolidate here, I think it sounds like there are some thoughts about the connection and the physical connection and its appropriateness and whether that's the right solution. And then I think there's also some discussion about sort of how the connection and the garage sort of tie to each other and the level of trim that's added to sort of try and relate to the existing house. So I think if there's some thought about, maybe simplifying that connector, the porch, the trim, it might relieve, some of the concerns of some of the commission members of sort of the house crowding the small garage. I think there's still some concern about whether that physical connection would still be appropriate there. And then, the thought of raising the roof on the garage, which could add a little more presence to that garage and in turn sort of turn down what's happening in the connection. I know there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of suggestions there. And I hope that kind of provides you with some sort of direction about a way to look at this in maybe a slightly different way.
Have there been options considered that don't connect the garage to the new volume, that just add the bump out to the new side door and a bit of porch, but maybe skip trying to connect that volume to the garage?
Design study that I would have to complete. I haven't got there yet. The original plan was to connect the garage, and so that was really the how the
was that a primary motivation of the project or a sort of a side motivation?
And so the mudroom addition is really solving both. So that's kind of how the connection to the garage started. It moved into really the farmer's porch extension of the roof there, and really creating that
Looks like we got you breaking up there a little bit, Brad. One of the, based on Justin's comment, I'm looking at the floor plan, the proposed first floor plan, in that connection, the physical connection there, it's sort of 7 feet deep and maybe 7 feet wide. If that sort of went away and, either the roof didn't connect or there was a simple roof connection, but it was a pass-through, a physical pass-through, and there was no structure there, may help kind of disconnect these two or appear of a disconnection, so that with the door coming out of the garage and the door coming in from the backyard, right, that little connection there, maybe if that went away and the roof that either the roof goes away too, or if there's a roof connection, that the trim and the details of that roof connection are really simple.
Okay.
Right, and a lot of the concerns I've heard on the commission just completely evaporate.
Right, I agree. I'll convene the client to get their approval of obviously no connection to the garage and to design the kind of the way that will connect the two structures.
Right, and if you could, if there was a visual path through the porch out into the backyard, I think it is responsive to Hans's concerns, Tracy's concerns, and even Catherine's, all in one swell food.
Absolutely.
So I know we've thrown a lot at you tonight, and I hope that kind of provides you with some direction for consideration.
Sure.
And I don't know if Andrea, when is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is on, I think it's on the 17th of September.
September 17th. Okay.
I will resubmit by then. Well,
Okay.
before then.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Next hearing is continuation of 105 North Street for essentially exterior repairs and new window replacement. I know there was a site visit again on this property over the weekend. Apologies, I was not able to make it. If there are any initial thoughts regarding any information from the site visit from the applicant or any new information, if you want to go over that. Michael?
Yes, I can go over that.
Okay.
May I begin?
Sure.
Okay. So a few things that I wanted to touch upon that came up in the meeting on Saturday. One of them was if we could, I'm going to start with the trim first, and then we can move on to the windows. But we tried, a couple of things we tried to do is be a bit more specific with the owner and doing an investigation as to what we're actually trying to do here. But I'll speak a little bit more on that in a second. I wanted to say that we did some more research into Borel to try to find out where it's being used, what markets has it been approved in, and we did inquire with a lot of different people to try to get some photographs. But what we did find out is it has been approved in historical areas. It's been approved on Martha's Vineyard and in Nantucket, specifically in Edgartown and Oaks Bluff. In Topsfield, the town hall has been restored using the Borel material, and also in downtown Mystic, Connecticut. So there is this product has there are precedents that are in place, and it has been approved in many I think somewhat significant buildings. We found a few more pictures from the Old South Church that depict not just the coins, but also the trim around some of the windows there. And we also included just a little write-up here a little bit more about Boral, but there's some more casing pictures, and there's a few more photographs that we added there as well. I think that's all I really have to say about the Boral material. I know there's some interest in finding some more information, so we tried to do that and get as much information as we could about that. In terms of the structure, it's the building itself, we have identified specifically with the owner the windows on the front and right side, which would be the south and east elevation. There's 27 windows in total that really are the worst in the building, according to the owner and according to what I guess I'm seeing as well, that we are requesting for new construction windows. The owner has agreed to not use the Boral product on the siding, but would like to replace the siding on this building in cedar clapboard siding with an exposure to match what is there existing. We discussed to what extent the trim would be replaced, and that's a bit still open-ended, but the pediment and pieces up top appear to be in stable, solid condition. So especially the corbels and pieces, so those pieces would remain. It's the pieces that are really completely gone that would need to be replaced in terms of the trim work. And as well as the shutters are in really rough shape. So the owner would like to replace all the shutters with a new cedar shutter and shutter dogs and holdbacks and hardware as well. It got mentioned at the meeting on Saturday, but it is written in our application. This has rectangular downspouts. We would be replacing those with round, smooth, more appropriate downspouts. I think that's all I have for my notes in terms of what we edited or changed.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Ben, I'll put you on the spot for a minute. Were you able to make the site visit?
Yes, I was there.
Could you give us your thoughts on the window and just sort of generally the condition of the materials, and what were your observations?
So most of the trim is deteriorated. That is, the coins are certainly in trouble, and some of the siding is in tough shape, as well as the deck and the railing. As for the windows, I did speak to Michael and John just briefly and said that being preservationists, we're always interested in trying to repair the windows first before doing a wholesale replacement. And it was discussed whether it would be a remodel or a new construction, and Michael's just confirmed it would be new construction is what they're asking to do. Given I think it was the assessment of the commission when we were there, that given the age of the structure, the center structure, and perhaps even the addition off to the right, that these were originally 6/6 rather than 2/2. I think that was discussed.
Yes, that was discussed. I'm looking for a picture. Andrea sent me a picture today that I just would like to try to share as well. It's from
1937?
Yeah, 1937. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I can't seem to put my finger on it immediately right now, but
that arrived via email, I think, Andrea, right?
Yes, it did.
There is no change in the mountains or the pattern. They are the same.
There you go.
And so the desire is to replace what's there with 2/2, or is the consideration 6/6?
Well, this is kind of where I don't want to do something, I think the correct word would be conjectural or to make some assessment here. But I think if we were replacing, the most logical thing would be to replace it the way that it exists. Because if we go back to 1937, this is what we have. But the next option might be to consider just doing the center section as 2/2, but the center and right wing have the 2/2. So our proposal is to replace it as it exists with the patterning that's in place.
I think without any
Unless the
definitive,
commission members feel that something is more appropriate.
well, we don't have any definitive pictures prior to 1937. The structure's from 1749, the original.
Carol?
That's kind of my question too. We were told that it was really built at 4 different times, the oldest unit being in the back of the right side and really not seen very much from the street, but that these 3 sections were built at different times. Do we have the exact dates of those 3? Because I'm thinking it'd be kind of intriguing to have a windows change across the building depending on when the era they were put in, rather than try to make it look like one big long building all done at the same time. Do you know, Andrea, when the 3 sections were built?
Hang on.
I'm racing for it too. I have it.
Yep, I do too. So, and I think I sent the Form B out to everybody today too.
I've been out.
Make sure you have it.
Yeah, I'm looking through the Form B right now to see if we can find that chronology. I read it during the site visit.
I know. Actually, Ben did a dramatic reading, right?
I have it for you guys if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, please do.
So the Norton House is the oldest, and it's dated from 1678 to approximately 1716. And
That's
then
in the back. That's the one in the back that we don't see really.
it's described. Yes, it's saying that it's no longer visible, I believe, because it's the oldest one.
Okay.
And then we have 1713, and then we go to 1790 to 1894. So those are the ranges. Those are the ranges of the 3 structures. The newest one is in the middle, the center piece.
That's the 18 something?
I believe correct. Yes, joining 2 older pieces left and right.
I'm sorry, my pen went out right in the middle of that. So on the left-hand side, we're looking at 1713. Yes?
I believe that's correct. Yes,
And-
that's what I'm saying.
Middle section is 18 something or other?
It would be
1820.
It would, yes, be the newest.
1820.
20.
And then the one on the right, section on the right is how old? Did I go out?
No, not at all. I just wonder if,
I thought we read in the Form B that the section to the right enveloped the oldest section in the back, and at the same time, that middle section was built to connect the 2 sides. So I was under the impression, I can totally be wrong, that the middle section and that right facade are the same era, but
Both 1820s.
that could be wrong.
Well, just looking at the picture, they both have the same front door, right? There's no front door for the center section.
do you want me to read this?
Sure.
This is one of the best examples of the Hingham additive house, which has grown incrementally through 3 centuries without losing its residential character nor its architectural integrity, for each modification was built true to the style of the period. The earliest section of this 3-part structure is on the east side. It was probably built in the mid-17th century. It is not visible. As with other Hingham 17th century houses, it has an envelope of another century. Here, of the 19th century, as evidenced by the projecting roof line at the gable side, the 2/2 windows, the double Italianate door with arched glass inserts under a columnar portico entrance, and the narrow tall chimneys. The second section was built in the mid-18th century, 1749. The year Julian Loring notes the first tax evaluation on the property. The 17th century house was probably a separate property. This west wing has a side entrance, 6/6 sash windows, clapboarded walls, and a simple Georgian door, flanked by plain pilasters supporting a simple entablature. The central section is the most interesting. It seems to have been interpolated in a long structure when in reality it was probably joining two residences of different ages. Stylistically, it shows evidences of late Greek revival detailing in the stylized pediments over the windows, mixed with early Italianate elements, such as the central gable with projecting roof lines supported by shaped brackets, a signature of the style. Interest in facade articulation led the builder to recess the entire front so as to give depth to the area and to score the wood to look like stone, which is unusual in Hingham but not unknown. And they cite two examples. The three sections, felicitously joined, relate well to each other, for they all have classical details as a unifying element. The ensemble is pleasing, interesting, and extremely handsome. So
that middle bit is the youngest.
Yes. It would seem to me that, given what we just read, that I think your idea of maintaining the existing window patterns makes the most sense.
And so I think, before we get into further detailed conversation on that, Ben kind of started with sort of repair over replacement. And has that been considered seriously here for these windows? Can they be repaired in lieu of replacement?
So Mike, I didn't step up on the porch. The building is occupied with tenants, and I didn't get very close to look. But in the past, we have asked the applicants to make an assessment. I don't know if that's been done.
I've made an assessment with the building owner, and he feels that they are beyond reasonable repair.
Hans?
Are the windows that we're looking at in the 1937 picture the same windows that are in the house now?
I think it appears that way, yes.
Yes, and I would agree with that. It does appear that way.
And they could be, these windows could be possibly, given when the house was built in different phases, 1800s.
Yeah, I suppose that's a possibility. I would have to get closer and look at the hardware and the sash details.
These are old windows with wavy glass.
There is antique glass.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's our first line here that we need to really seriously consider. And if it, I don't know, I understand the building is occupied, and I can't imagine we'd be able to get into every space, but if there's an opportunity to look in more detail at repair over replacement, I think we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence here to really understand that. And I don't know if the applicant has had a window restoration expert come and look at these. That might be a good idea as well. I know there are a couple that we've seen around town, and I'm sure Andrea can provide some contact information on that.
Yes.
To have somebody come take a look at that. But I think we really need to do that before we really consider replacement of these windows.
And Ben, do you recall which windows you thought you did see wavy glass? Because I was not as polite as you were apparently. I did go up on the porch and was looking for wavy glass, and I didn't see any.
The right-hand side of the front facade, 2/2, second floor, was what I was looking at.
Okay.
And so I think, there's almost two parts to the discussion here. One is the windows, one is the materials, replacement of the materials. And, I'd imagine you want to do it all at once. But if there's consideration of the materials, the Boral used in certain applications, and if the commission is comfortable with that, and I don't want to speak for the commission in advance, but if that's okay with the commission, then, there's the potential to sort of move that forward in advance while the windows are looked at in detail to determine whether they can really be repaired or not.
I thought the coins seemed like an obvious, reasonable place to apply Boral.
Right.
So we've approved Boral in this particular section of town before in the overlay district.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. So when we say the coins, those are the pilasters coming down from on the main section, but
where the Form B mentioned looking as if trying to mimic stone. Right.
Stone. Okay, so the flat facade, though, the flat siding on that middle section as well will be Boral. That's what's being proposed.
All damage trim is being proposed to be Boral.
And I think to Catherine's point, so on the far left of the screen, there's some siding of a similar, right, yep, right there. And is that intended to be replaced with Boral there as well?
It is, yes.
Yep, okay.
They describe this as an incised type of brick or masonry pattern. If I might just add this, it would be tremendously helpful for us if we had, perhaps if we could move the decision-making on the trim work, because we have some documentation that has to take place. There's many steps to figuring out how we have knives that have to be cut in order to facilitate making material. So it would be helpful to us.
Okay.
So Michael, is that then, it would be the gutters, the downspouts, the shutters, let's just say all siding, the coins. What about corner boards?
The corner boards as well, and that's in our application. And the owner is amenable to keeping things that are solid in place. There's not sense of stripping things off if we can try to keep things. The idea is to keep as much as we can, but there are things that are completely gone that need to be repaired.
So window casings as well?
Yes.
Well, if I could just speak to the commission briefly, that clearly the structure needs help, and I, for one, I'm thrilled that the applicant is willing to take this on. It has such prominence in the town, and if you look from that structure right, you'll notice that the other houses that have deteriorated are being renovated now, which is great to see. So, I would love to see this house, this entire structure, fixed up. I think it's going to be a great win.
But I think, go ahead, Andrea.
I'm sorry. Ben, I was distracted, so I didn't hear all of what you said. You and I had a conversation at the site visit about the length of the clapboard, the cedar clapboard?
Yeah, I mean, Michael, for authenticity, I think you'll notice that the clapboard on some of the, I'll call them the original volumes. It's hard to say which ones exactly, but on the far left there is an L. It's a recent addition, and the clapboard exposure is visibly different than the clapboard exposure of the older structure. You'll notice that, and in fact, in your picture that's up on the screen now, labeled 8. The clapboard exposure is tighter towards the bottom, and then it slowly expands as it gets up to that very first row of windows at the sill level. It'd be nice to be able to duplicate that. The other thing I noticed is the length of the clapboards. You'll notice that the clapboard breaks. Every other clapboard breaks at the same position, and that shows some. There's quite a bit of continuity in the structure as you look at the older clapboard. It would be nice if that could get duplicated as well.
I'm aware of both details. Especially the spacing it's a detail that we've known in more contemporary times. Royal Barry Wills has done that, so we're aware of that. We've actually done it on more modern homes as well. So yes, it is our intention to have the clapboards replicated as with being tighter to the weather down at the bottom, as a water table, so to speak, and then as they go up, they widen. We would do story poles and try to keep everything exactly the same.
Is there terminology, Ben, for that particular spacing change? Just for future conversation purposes.
I don't know what that is called.
Technically, if I may add, I can say that is what the precursor to a water table. That's an early water table. It's a way of Yankee ingenuity, if you will, of creating a water table without using a board, using smaller boards.
So tightening the exposure so that you're keeping water out.
Correct. You can have snow and ice and stuff sitting against it as well.
Yeah, Hans, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, thanks. If we can just have just a short discussion on the use of the Borel all the way through the the house. Personally, a house in the 1700s, 1800s, when you've got some real thickness in the wood, and some of the components that that are quite sizable and thickness, I could definitely see going with the Borel. But on the corner boards and some of the trim on the roof, I wondered if we can have a mix here in order to preserve as much of the original wood as we could here without completely going in the other direction. Water table stuff close to the water, I get all that, the foundation, but some of it maybe we could say with the wood. Thank you.
Thanks, Hans. So, Michael, would you guys consider that?
I suppose the owner would consider anything. However, this is it's a rental property. There's maintenance here that has to be done. There's obvious precedent that has been set for using this product extensively in renovation work, and I think we would like to use the Borel if allowed.
Okay. Are there any other thoughts from any other commission members? Okay. Well, I think what I'm hearing is, there's some, it sounds like we could likely make a motion for the material replacement. However, we need to take another look at the windows and whether they can be repaired. So if, Michael, you need any names, I think Andrea can certainly provide those for you regarding the window restoration experts. And so I think with that, I don't know if Ben, you'd be able, oh, Catherine, sorry, before we get there.
Oh yeah, just before you cut out to Ben, I had one last thought about the mixing of the wood and the Borel. I feel like it's definitely more useful for the larger pieces of wood. But I guess I'm concerned that the doors, the door framing, as you're walking into this home, you're going to lose some of the imperfections of wood as you're entering the home with the doors and the casings and the moldings and all that around the doors. And the same holds true with the windows. I feel like there's character in, a little dent, a little ding, a little imperfection of the wood. And I guess in the smaller details, I think I also would be leaning towards the casings for the windows, especially in the doors for wood. Okay.
So, Ben, would you be able to make a motion on this?
Yeah, I feel comfortable doing that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a point of clarification. So, Michael, did you say that you and John would agree to using the shorter lengths of clapboard? I think that's critical.
Yes, correct. We would agree to that.
Okay. All right.
I think
and then
Barry is very amenable to keeping that, and I think
okay.
Yes.
What about gutters? And what are you going to use?
We did discuss this on site, and we can use a proper matching profile in aluminum that would match the wood gutter. He's happy to do that. I know Chris Cazalt personally, and we certainly could meet with him to have the gutters made.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Carol?
I'm probably way ahead of us here, but I can't help but think this might be incredibly historically attractive if each section were a slightly different color. As if, look, this was 3 houses, and yes, they were attached, and it is one big dwelling, but to paint it all the same color seems to me giving up a rare opportunity to kind of showcase this building as something different. And I mean, I'm not thinking red, blue, and green or something, but just slightly different shades of beige or gray or white in between or something to say, this is 1700s, that's 18, just, it's something to think about. I wouldn't press it, but I can visualize it. I think it would be an incredible statement in downtown Hingham. This is the center of town.
Michael, have you thought about color yet?
We discussed it briefly, and the intention was to keep it as is. We certainly didn't discuss 3 different massings of color. I don't know. I would need to discuss that with Mr. Barry. But the intention was to keep it in the colors that it is.
Okay. Well, I think if we're going to take another look at windows, maybe color is something that you think about between now and then.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe it's just that the middle section being slightly different might maintain the best example of Hingham's additive house.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, is the intent then to make the motion specific to naming where the borough will be located?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be what I would think would be appropriate. Okay. Ben, would you be ready to do that?
I think so. Yeah, I may need some help from some of the other commissioners, but I could probably get started here.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for 105 North Street, exterior trim and siding, more specifically coins and center cladding. Michael, what was that referred to as, that masonry look?
It was inscribed masonry, I believe is the way it's said.
So that would be in the center volume, the inscribed masonry section to be boral. Corner boards to be wood, whether it's cedar or other wood of your choice. Clapboards to be red cedar. Tighter water table exposure with the clapboard, and then a consistent alternating running lengths for the clapboard. Shutters would be in wood with authentic hardware. You mentioned the shutter dogs. The configuration of the shutters to be duplicated. More specifically, that center volume has shutters that are split in half, where a lower section is shorter than the upper section. Color to be submitted to Andrea for approval at a later date. Aluminum or lead-coated copper gutters to simulate a wood gutter profile. Downspouts to be round. The windows are not included in this motion.
And was the door woodwork was a question mark as well, I thought.
And the deck and railings too. We have to think about those.
So am I including the deck and the railings in this? Right now they're proposed to be cedar, correct, Mike?
Well, in light of what I'm hearing, it seems like that's going to be the favored choice. So I'm going to say yes.
So the cedar decking, though, Michael, is going to be a different profile than what's there now. It would be a narrower 1x4.
Well, truthfully, I hadn't thought about it. I don't know the size of these. We could go 1x4. We could I think match this, but probably 1x4. Yes.
And then was it your proposal, Michael, that the newels and the railing would be boral?
It is our proposal to do that. Yes, it is proposal to use as much boral as possible for maintenance and for decay and things like that. And the railings are going to be extremely susceptible to rot.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. If I point that out to the commission, one of the first things to go is going to be railings in terms of just the way they're constructed. But I do have to give the commission a chance to discuss that because we have not.
I think that would be acceptable. I think we've approved those types of materials in areas that are susceptible to moisture. I'm not sure if there are any other contrary thoughts to that.
That sounds.
Will we be able to duplicate the little finial posts on top, the balls? That won't be a problem to duplicate what's there in all its elements.
It will not be a problem to duplicate that, and I think we could do a little bit better. We have Andrea's picture that has a bit more appropriate. These are not really correct, so I think we can actually do better.
It appears that the picture from 1937 has orbs rather than what has been modified and is there now.
Correct.
So Hans, you had some trepidation about boral. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about the deck or the railings from you.
Yeah, let me just make sure I've got everything that's in this motion. So coins, inscribed masonry, newels, railing, baseboards. Is that something that, did you call out baseboards?
I haven't discussed the water table yet. Michael, I'm assuming that's in scope?
It is in the scope, and it is extremely susceptible because it's sitting in the snow and ice.
Okay. Baseboards, I'm okay with all of those. I just want to make sure we're preserving as much of the wood as we can. trim detail, corner boards, trim detail around the windows, trim detail around the doors. I just don't want to take this over the top and make it too new looking. It's an old house.
So right now the windows are out of scope.
Okay.
For a
doors.
future discussion.
Yep.
The doors, I'm not sure. I can see though the door is the door pediment is represented portico in number 16.
Yeah.
And just talking with Michael in the field the other day that the columns would remain as wood, but I can tell you that the bases are not original and those would have to be redone. The bases receive a lot of water. So my recommendation would be something impervious to water.
Mm-hmm. And we've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see in that detail again, that picture number 16, most of that detail is shot.
Yeah, that looks gone.
How about the trim around the door?
The trim around the door is actually a little bit better because it's been protected from the elements.
Okay. So
So
that
I don't see a need of ripping that off or even replacing it. I think the intention is to keep that. It's just that stuff that's getting beat up by water.
Okay. Mike and Ben, just for what's been called out, I'm good with that. I think those are appropriate swap outs and replacements.
So you're comfortable with the railing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really exposed. I get that, but yeah, just as long as what you've seen out in the field is not too, it's not too contemporary looking. Just lack of sheen. Just it's tough to duplicate wood.
So it's my impression that Michael's going to have some knives made up so that they would be duplicating the actual profile of those existing railings, or based on that 1937 photo, perhaps they can get even closer. And then I think once this boral is painted, it'll look like new wood, essentially. And boral does dent and ding over time, scuff marks and stuff like that.
Okay. Just want to be careful about the precedent too, that we're calling this out. It's for specific reasons. It's the thickness of this wood, large applications. It's a rental property. It's almost commercial where we have approved it, but I just want to be careful that we're looking at this in the context of what we'll be approving it for. Thanks.
Okay, so this is primarily, then part of the motion is an understanding that the elements of this house that we're replacing with boral are susceptible to extreme weather. So that would be the water table, the railing on the deck, the coins because of their horizontal orientation, this inscribed masonry again for the horizontal orientation, so that the shutters would be wood. They will be the same proportions and size of what's already on the house, on the structure, with authentic hardware. The cedar clapboard will obviously be wood. It's cedar, and it's going to be the same exposures as you see there now, with the we have to get the lengths so that they're consistent, alternating running lengths.
Thanks. Catherine, did you have a comment? I think you're on mute, Catherine.
Another step there that I have to do. I'm wondering, as we're talking about these shutters, if homes in the late 1600s typically had shutters, and also even early 1700s, and if now maybe reconsidering the shutters is prudent, since we have a chance to look at it again. So I just didn't know, like, I'm trying to think of the old Ordinary. I know that's one of our oldest homes. And I guess I'm thinking about the right side in photo 002, G002. I see some windows that have really awkward shutters, some that don't have shutters, some that are so close to the corner boards they can't take shutters on one side. I guess I'm just, before we offer a blanket replacement of all these shutters, maybe this is an opportunity to honor the way it was way back when. Any thoughts on that?
When I look at the photo from 1937, I don't see any shutters missing. Of course, I can't see the right-hand elevation.
So I think, I think while we haven't made a vote yet, we are in the middle of the motion. But if we need to reconsider, we can reconsider here. I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts about the shutters. They are there. Suggestion is to replace in kind.
So I think, Catherine, you're probably talking about the right-hand elevation where some of them are cut off as a result of corner boards or even missing.
Yeah, I'm talking about the right side, but I guess I'm also trying to imagine what the front looked like in 1713 on the left side. And I guess we got one chance at this. I guess I don't want to overlook it and just throw back the shutters on there and think, oh, well, that wouldn't have been appropriate of the era for that section of the home.
Well, I think the motion as it stands is that the shutters that get replaced would be replaced with wood. And
correct, but I'm wondering if they're even appropriate at all. And I'm certain that a homeowner who's got a rental would rather not replace an expensive wood shutter if it wasn't, what needed to be done. I guess I know I'm stirring a pot here.
So Hans, and then Carol, go ahead.
Mike, just on my input is I don't think we can request the applicant to take these down if they're up. They've been approved and they've been up for years. I don't think we can. I think it's their choice.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Carol?
And the motion's simpler if it's shutters that get replaced with wood.
Yes.
Certainly anything in the 1700s had to have shutters because the glass was so ridiculously valuable and expensive to replace. It was covering the window glass as much as, providing shade and anything else, protection. When you get up into the 1800s, it's less mandatory, but they were more common than not. And then the later section, I think they could have done it either way, but I think unifying the look makes sense with the shutters.
Okay. Thanks, Carol. Okay, Ben, any more to the motion?
Just looking at my notes. No, I don't see anything else.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Oh. I think I heard Hans first, so Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Hey, Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote? Sorry, you're on mute, Catherine. How do you vote?
Aye.
Ben, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me. So thank you, Michael. Hopefully that gets you where you need to go to get started. And again, reach out to Andrea if you need any names for any of the window restoration folks.
We will do that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, so the next application is 38 North Street. Thank you for your patience. We are running a little late tonight. And it appears that 38 North is new signage for Hingham Medical Aesthetics. If you could walk us through your application and tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do.
Harry, I'll go ahead and let you speak. I'm Allison, one of the owners of Easton Medical Aesthetics, but Harry Titus is our sign professional, so I'll let him take the lead on this.
Great.
Good evening. Well, we have two parts to this. The first part is 2 awnings on the front. I believe that's your North Street. Sample there. Okay, that sample has a steel frame, 1 inch, and it has a sunbrella fabric on it. That's one request. Our second request, originally it was a 1/2 inch MDO, which is a wood, and last minute that got altered as a Plan B, which we didn't put it on the application, but I did drop off some samples. Okay, you should have 3 samples there. I don't know if you can see these. The top one is a cedar wood. Then you have a redwood. And the bottom one is the technique. It's a V carved. That's what we're proposing for the front sign. Which you can see here. This particular one on the front of the building. First, we were requesting 1/2 inch MDO or the carved version. And on the back of the building, we'd like to do an MDO, 1/2 inch with vinyl lettering.
Okay. I'm not sure we have the new images. Andrew, did you have those samples? I didn't.
And I was just looking through email materials and I didn't find the
We
new-
have, yeah, the new proposal should be up on the website.
Yeah, I'm there and I'm just seeing the original one on 38 North.
You seeing this one here? This was the original version.
No, so what I'm seeing is what Hans is holding up, which are both the MDO options.
Yes, it would be exactly the same except the material, instead of being 1/2 inch MDO, would change to this product. Same size, same colors.
And that looks like several different products in that image.
Well,
It
I'm
actually
giving
can
it
see pretty well.
These are different types of wood, cedar, redwood, and this is the technique. Okay, because a V carved was requested. And you have the sample. I dropped off these 3 samples.
Except they haven't been able to see them because the town hall is closed. I have them in my office, but they haven't been able to see them.
It's real wood.
It's wood.
just either carved or, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yes, I think if I could just interject, Harry, thank you. The MDO we were hoping to originally go with because of the cost point as well, but we were also really wanting to have an option B for the North Street side of our building tonight, just so the board could know that we are very, very willing to do the hand carved wood if that is what is requested and recommended by the historical committee.
Hans?
I'm sorry, what does MDO stand for?
Medium density overlay. It's pretty
Okay.
much a plywood, high grade plywood used in the sign industry.
Okay. I don't, Andrea, what have we said on MDO in the past? I don't even remember. I don't know.
Well,
Have
I
we
think
said
in this situation, I thought that the board could consider the MDO board for the Station Street side, but that's why I asked that they present a wood option, carved wood option for the North Street side. And so the MDO board, I think, would be fine on Station Street. And the board would have to determine whether vinyl letters are appropriate, or are we looking at painted? Can you paint the letters?
If need be.
So if I recall, we did approve an MDO for a secondary signage in the past. I'm thinking it might have been down near Buffalo's, if I have the correct building.
You may be right. Carol, I think you have a.
Yeah, in the only picture that I've got, the third one, is the back of the building, the Station Street side. Are we talking about the little black sign up above or the white one down below?
No, the little black one above.
So who's going to see that?
That was hopefully to target the back parking lot, the Station Street parking, because in front of that is actually parking spaces that are usually full because there's a tenant and then 2 spots belong to 38 North, to our business. So our hope was, rather than blocking the signage with cars, the sign could go above because the train goes by there.
Yeah.
So in hopes that maybe that would be seen.
This is, pictures are deceiving. It's different perspective. That's so small, I can't read it on this page. Are you sure you're thinking the right size that you want? Is this going to be clean?
It would be nice to have it larger, but town requirements, the second sign has to be half the size of the front sign.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, that's the town bylaw. That's a requirement.
Isn't the train underground at that point?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I saw the commuter rail go by the other day. I said, ooh, someone might see our sign.
On the inbound, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so on the sign for North Street, of those 3 options, those alternates, is there a preference from the applicant side?
The preference for us would be the MDO looked so beautiful when we saw it when Harry brought the samples by. So we were very comfortable with that, but we want to be mindful to what the committee recommends and requires, and we definitely want to blend in the right way. So if we were required, from looks, to be honest with you, it looks really similar. I couldn't entirely tell the difference from afar. But we would be willing to do the wood if that's what was required. The carved wood.
And so on the options that you're considering for the carved wood, would the letters be raised or would the letters be actually carved?
They'd be carved.
Letters
Is that correct, Harry?
Be carved.
Be carved, yeah.
So it would inset into the wood.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Carol, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are any of the other stores around there have similar signs, or what do your neighbors have along that area?
So I've done a walk around and I've noticed a little bit of a mixture.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are the wood carved. And then there's to the left of us is William Ravis, and down is that brand new building across from Greenlight. So down there, I think it's like a liquor store is carved, and then like a pizza shop seems to be maybe more MDO. So I'm not entirely sure if that's truly MDO. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
So I do see a little bit of a mixture. Is that right, Andrea? I don't know.
I think that's absolutely correct, because some of those properties downtown are in the historic district, and those in the historic district, when we review the signs, we request the wood. Some of them are not in the district. It's so that's why you see the different signs.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So if we are, considered in that historical district, which we are, again, we love the look of Hingham. That's why we chose that area. So if the carved wood is what is required, we're comfortable with that. We just want to, be mindful of that.
Okay.
Are there any other thoughts or questions from the commission? Or any others? Carol?
Sorry to be so chatty. I'm wondering if the site visit makes sense here. Is it worth it for a sign? But I don't, just the picture, the middle picture doesn't show any of the other buildings with a sign that large and that high up, covering the whole building. I don't know the date of this building. Is it, it's hard to tell looking at it today.
Carol, they're replacing, it used to be Sarah Campbell. And so what they're doing is putting the exact same size sign where the Sarah Campbell sign was. And it's the same size. So it's essentially replacing an existing sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're actually doing the same coloring as well. And Sarah Campbell had the same awnings. The only difference was hers were black and white. We're proposing just solid black. So it's the exact same signage that was there, just a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that make it sound pretty easy?
Makes it sound very easy.
It does. I'm just looking at
We
the
should
image
have started
now.
with that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the image now on Google Maps, and that's exactly the same size.
I'm curious why there's no brick sidewalk right in front of that only one building. What's that about?
I think that was taken when the brick sidewalk was being constructed.
They hadn't gotten that far yet?
Yes.
Okay.
That's funny.
All right. Well, it sounds like I think, the most appropriate solution here would be the carved wood. And I think, the MDO on the rear sign, it seems like it could be appropriate for that application too. I don't want to speak for the entire commission, but I think I'm just consolidating what I'm hearing. So I don't know if we're at a point, if the commission has any other comments, or if anybody would like to make a motion. And just to confirm, the voting members on this would be Hans, Carol, Catherine, myself, and Ben.
I can't tell that the old Sarah Campbell sign is carved wood. That might be this MDO product.
We wouldn't have approved it.
Hans?
I can make a motion, Mike, when everyone's ready.
Okay. All right.
We're ready.
Let's go.
Just want to make sure, is that gold lettering or white lettering?
White.
White lettering? Okay. And it's going to be vinyl white lettering on the rear, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion for 38 North Street for the installation of 2 business signs to replace the existing Sarah Campbell sign on the front, on the North Street side. That will be the exact same size, wood carved with white lettering, black sign. To the rear will be an MDO sign size as indicated on the photo, second page of the application. Sign to be black with white vinyl lettering. We did not talk about the awnings, but I'm just going to throw that in there now. Replacement of 2 existing awnings with 2 black awnings.
Are they canvas?
Yes. It's the brand name is Sunbrella. It's like a fabric.
Second.
It is canvas?
Yes, that's what most of them are. Sunbrella.
Did I hear Ben as the second?
You did.
Okay. Hans, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I from me. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
And thank you, committee.
Hey, Mike, I got to drop off.
Yep, for 962.
Do I just like stop my video and just go completely off the grid, or what do I do?
Well, give us some image, you know.
Don't go off the grid, Hans.
Right.
You know, Gordon, I'm scared. I just don't.
You just have to mute yourself.
You're just sick of looking at me from all
I
those
don't
meetings.
want to say anything.
Hi, Gordon.
Me on one more Zoom call is too much for Hans, I think. So that's really why he has to leave.
And wait,
Okay.
Catherine, you're recused, right?
I don't think she did.
But she is going to be
She is
because
going to be.
I am going to be recused on this one. Thank you.
Okay, so I've appointed Justin and Ben. Robert, would you be the 5th on this one?
Yes.
Okay, so voting members on this one would be myself, Carol, Justin, Ben, and Robert. To clarify. Okay. Okay, Mr. Carr, 962 Main Street to install a fence. Could you just walk us through your application?
Sure. I think you have it. You may have it in front of you, but I can put it on the screen if that's helpful. Sure, you can do that if you want to, unless everybody has it in front of them. It's up to you.
I think we've got the paper. I think it seems simple enough. I think that'd be fine to walk through.
Fair enough. So yeah, so this is just the completion of the project. You know, we installed a pool in lieu of vacations and camps and everything else. So the final piece is the solid fence to go between the back of the house and the detached garage. So it'll be cedar 6-foot fence with a gate, both to secure the pool area and provide a little bit of privacy. So it's, I think, 22 feet all in between the house and the garage.
Okay. And the overall height of the fence is 6 feet. What is the height of the solid portion versus sort of the open top?
I think it's 5 feet and then a foot of the spindles.
5 plus 1. Okay. And the width of the gate, is that just sort of a 3-foot person gate, or is that a vehicle gate?
No. I think it's 4 feet actually, just because of the path that was installed. So.
Okay.
And the plan is to have no paint, just natural wood.
That's right. We just want it to weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben?
Mr. Carr, so is it safe to say it's only visible between the garage and the house?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
No.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Very straightforward.
I can make a motion whenever you're ready, Mike.
All right, Ben, go for it. You're on a roll tonight.
Well, no, Hans stole my fire there. I was about to pitch a no-hitter. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for 962 Main Street to install a fence, a 6-foot fence between the garage and the main house. Fence as depicted in the application. It won't be painted and will remain natural. Gate to be roughly 4 feet wide.
And it's a cedar fence.
Right, it's a cedar fence.
Details. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, Carol, second. Okay. Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben, how do you vote?
Aye.
Robert, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. Thank you, Mr. Carr. Thank you for your patience.
No problem. I know what it's like. Thank you, everybody, very much. Have a good evening.
Take
Good
care.
night. Thank you.
Okay, next up is 5759 North Street for the installation of a railing at the front granite steps. We have the application here, but why don't you walk us through what you're looking to do?
Sure, I'll share my screen. So I'm Lauren Porcia. I live at 59 North Street. I'm representing both myself and Ellen Stone. It's 2 condos, one on top of the other. So do I have, okay. Screen sharing permission, okay. So this is the front of the house. There's these set of granite stairs, and we recently shopped around our master insurance, found a good deal, but they are requiring that we put a railing on these stairs. So we got some options, and the one we want to go with is just a super simple railing. We prefer not to have anything, but for safety purposes, obviously, not a bad idea. So this is the design. No balusters in between, just top and bottom, and then like these curved edges. And that's really it. Just on one side, if I go back up, just the right side here is the proposal.
And is it really iron, or it's painted to be like black iron looking?
It should be iron. Let me see. Fabric primed and painted black. Fabrication, installation primed, painted black.
I think just by looking at that photo,
It is.
appears to be
Yeah.
iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell if it's when it's the tubular steel.
Yeah.
This is the real thing.
That's the real thing. Okay.
So there would be, oh, sorry, Justin, go ahead.
That's all that I was just asking for that clarification.
Okay. Now, would it
So
be?
there are 2 sets of stairs. Are there two sets of railings, or just one railing and the long set of stairs?
It'll be on both, yeah. So if I pull up, there's a, I have a Google map here. There's a couple at the bottom too, right here. So they want it on both. It would not be all the way up this. It would just be on, hang on one second.
In the region of the stairs.
Yep, exactly. So not along this walkway.
And just on one side, you said?
Yep, on the right side.
Okay.
I drove by there today, and I just feel like the stairs are calling for railings. I think you said you prefer not to have them, but
Well,
to me,
for aesthetics, but they definitely need railings.
well, I think aesthetically that would add to it though,
Yeah.
because it's friendlier looking to have a railing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little frightening right now.
Yeah.
It's very frightening looking.
So what I'll say is they were frightening because they were not even and very dangerous. So we actually just got them all evened out.
Oh.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I think it's straightforward, and I'm prepared to make a motion for this.
I have one quick question. Are you attaching to the granite, or are you installing the rail into the earth adjacent?
To the granite.
No more exercising.
Hey, you. Sorry, before you're all here.
Before. Okay, so I think I heard somebody volunteer to do a motion.
I'll make that motion. I'd like to make a motion for 57 to 59 North Street for the installation of 2 segments of iron railing, each segment to correspond with the 2 sets of stairs on the property. The railing to be mounted into the stonework of the stairs.
Second.
Second, Robert second. Is there another second? I think I didn't have Robert as a voting member, but
Oh, I think you did mention him as a voting member.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you're right. You didn't. That was the
either way, I
last.
think I got Carol as a second. So
Yep.
Okay, Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me as well. Thank you. Thanks for your patience and good luck.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, in the final application tonight, 699 Main Street for the installation of copper gutters in downspouts in the front of the house. The applicant is on. Would they want to walk us through?
I don't see Kate.
Maybe Chris, are you here?
I think it's just us commission members.
Ooh. Well,
Gosh, what do we do?
well, technically, unless
We
there's
don't
some,
have an advocate.
technically we can't, if there's nobody representing the project, we can't.
You want to give him a quick call, Andrea? We're like
Yeah.
20
Hold
minutes
on.
late. I don't know if you got a number.
Yeah.
There's a number on the application.
There is. Hold on, I got Lauren's here. Here we go. Spinneries. All right, doing that now.
I'm going to read my minutes.
Now?
Very good suggestion, Ben. Why don't we take advantage of this time?
All right, he's gonna call in,
Excellent.
so he should be calling in shortly.
Okay.
Gosh, I do have some fun facts.
Let's hear 'em.
Oh, wait a second, I gotta get my book. All right, so, ooh. Hold on. Oh, here we go. This is really important. In 1961, Motown released its first #1 hit. Does anybody want to know what that is? Does anybody have a guess?
Supremes?
Close. It was.
Hi, this is Chris Finnerty.
Hi, Chris. We're in the middle of a fun fact. I'll be right. It is. That's all right. Please, Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes.
Oh.
I can sing it, but I'm sure
It's,
you.
it's a fine song.
Okay, Chris is here.
Leave my head for the
You're
rest of the night.
saved from my song. Chris is here.
Okay.
Evening, everyone. Thank you.
Great. So if we've got the application here in front of us, but why don't you walk us through your proposal?
So I'm trying to put I had some gutter damage over the fall and winter. Not like a cleaning issue, just wood running in and getting in behind the sills, causing damage in the front of the house. So I want to change over to something where I'm not going to be dealing with the rotting wood. And I was hoping to change over to copper and do it in the same shape or the same profile as the wood gutters and downspouts.
I think that's pretty straightforward. I mean, copper gutters are very nice. We've also approved alternatives in certain applications, but I don't know that we would certainly object, at least I wouldn't, to copper gutters in this application. They're beautiful. Are there any other?
Yeah, I really like the look as well.
Yeah.
Copper is long lasting, but would they be painted to match the house?
They'd be left natural to weather.
When you say natural, will they turn green and oxidize or turn brown?
Yes, they would.
Green and oxidized, although it takes like 20 years to really get a green color on copper, is my understanding.
But isn't there also a sort of a lead coated, I don't know if it's really lead, but there's a lead color-like treatment on copper that I've seen proposed in other projects. Also very attractive, actually.
Just asking because ours turned brown and they're only like 10 years old. They went up copper and now they're brown.
They turn brown very quickly,
Yeah.
quickly. They don't last that penny copper very long, but it takes a long time for them to go green.
Yeah. If ever,
Nice.
because it's poisonous, they don't want it green anymore.
My memory was that it's been suggested that copper be painted because otherwise they're liable to thievery. I don't know if that has anything to. Has anybody ever heard of that before?
Well, they'd have to crawl up on bring a big ladder.
Well, it can be done. Yeah.
Yep, I guess. Think somebody would notice though.
But if I think if the proposal is for a raw copper gutter and downspouts, that's fairly straightforward.
I'm curious what happened to the downspouts if they're wood. You say they're rotted?
No, the downspouts aren't rotted, just the gutters themselves were. The gutters The wooden gutters rotted. The downspouts are corrugated and were painted white.
Oh, they're not old wooden ones.
No.
So you're changing those downspouts, right?
Yes.
And they'll be round,
Round or corrugated?
not corrugated.
Okay, well, changing from corrugated to round then.
Good. Sounds good.
And you're not worried they'll turn brown? You're going to paint them later or something?
I'm not going to paint them. I'm okay with the brown color, personally.
Hans?
Hey, Chris, is your roof cedar or is it asphalt?
Asphalt, for now.
And your shutters are black, right?
Yes.
And your door's black.
Yes.
And the light above the doors looks like it's black too, right?
It's aged brass. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Is there a precedent for copper gutters in the historic district? I thought there was something about gutters needing to blend in with the historic structure because
match the house, yeah.
They match the house because they're not.
44 Pleasant Street.
Generally, there are, with wood gutters, we don't make people keep wood gutters. So, and we have approved copper gutters.
It's a colonial 44 Pleasant Street, Glenn's house. I think that was maybe 3 years ago.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
about
okay.
right?
Yep, you're right.
I can make a motion.
Can I just say something first? Wait, hold it.
Yeah,
Whoops.
sure, Carol, go ahead.
Ben. Okay, I'm on page 9 of our rules and regulations here. Downspouts should be painted to match the material to which they are attached, whether the trim or the body of the structure. It may be possible to repair gutters without replacing them.
Although I would imagine, in that specific application, and I didn't certainly write that, but we don't see copper a lot because it's expensive and a lot of people don't want to do it. So I would think that if the applicant wants to do copper, I think it's appropriate. And then I think matching the copper gutters with the copper downspout would seem to be appropriate. I know that's not specific related to that particular line in the guide, but I don't know that it may have considered copper gutters being used in a particular application. It was probably in regard to an aluminum gutter, a white aluminum gutter, or a painted white.
I think it was when we were at 37 at the Yungton's house, when we went on our site visit, I noticed that they painted their gutters so that they did match the house. And and that's what we do recommend. If you look at the Boston Private Bank building, that's always made me nuts because their gutters they've got a gutter on the side that it screams.
In the previous approved application for copper gutters, Ben, do you remember if it was the full facade of the house or was it a side or was it both?
It was the front for sure. And they are 3 years later, they're brown.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
They're very apparent on Google Maps, the street view. You can see what it looks like.
And actually, I know Jim Magner left his natural too, right across from the bagel shop near Conway Realty when he redid that unit.
Yeah.
Tracy, did you have a comment?
No, I'm just commenting that I looked it up on Google Maps, the 44, it's the whole front, downspouts and gutter. I think it looks great.
I feel like this is a situation where this is going to become more and more common, requests for copper gutters. And if it's been approved to another historic home, then I'm comfortable with that precedent.
Do you know the date of this house? I should know it. I walk by it every day, but
1838.
1838. Would they have had copper gutters in 1838?
I don't think so.
I'm not being sarcastic. I just don't get it.
Well, they would have had wood, but
Right.
we've been consistent that we aren't requiring people to replace it with wood. So we're
Nope.
considering
Got
alternate
wood gutters.
wood. Sorry, what's that?
Repeat, Carol. What did you say?
Me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we have wooden gutters in our house, and they've never rotted. So I was kind of curious why replace them at all. If you've got wood now, and that's appropriate, why not leave the downspouts?
Well, the downspouts right now are corrugated.
Yes.
Oh, they're not wood. They're not round wood.
Nope. Just the gutters themselves rotted.
And I don't know who you're going to have do your gutters, but the profile, they can make them just like wood gutters in profile anyway. So
Says alt, I think he has done.
Yep, the sample is a wood gutter profile.
Yeah.
Photo may not reveal it as well as I'd like, but there's K-style, there's rounded, and there's wood gutter. I mean, for lack of a better piece of terminology on it, same profile as what a wood gutter would have been like.
Yeah, the package does show the gutter form.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? Ben, back to you for a motion.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I'd like to make a motion for 699 Main Street. Installation of a wood profile copper gutter and round downspouts in the front to age naturally.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Catherine, second. Okay, Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben, how do you vote?
Aye.
And an aye for me as well. So thank you, Mr. Finity, and good luck.
Thanks all so much. You guys have a great night. Thanks for waiting for me for a minute. Take care.
Take care. Okay. Last item on the agenda are the minutes. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to take a look at those. I know I was skimming them here, certainly while we were.
I'm sorry, it was my fault. Sherry gave them to me a while back and I just got tied up with other stuff. So it's my fault they were late.
Well, I wonder on the June 18th minutes, it felt like it was later than 9:47 p.m. that we adjourned.
The only comment I had
didn't it?
was, the June 11th minutes, right on the first page when it says members present remotely and it goes through the names, and then it says and associate members, Ben Burnham, Thomas Kindler, Justin Acorn. That should be alternate members, should it not, as opposed to associate members?
Oh, yeah. Sherry's using the planning board terminology.
That was the only comment I had.
That's actually a good one.
Thanks, Justin.
Jeez. Woo. Sherry, did you? I can't remember. Did you include the people who were appointed voting members for each?
I believe so.
Okay,
I
you
think I
probably
did.
did.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments on the minutes?
None for me.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Andrea, anything else we need to go over before we adjourn?
Did you approve both sets of minutes? The 11th
18th, that, yes, that would be,
and the 18th.
and the 18th.
Did you approve them both?
I think we did.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Yay. Oh, I just have to add one thing though before we adjourn. I just want to make it clear that when we get to Friday, August the 21st, that was the release of Please, Mr. Postman.
So, fun fact as amended.
Yes. Well, yes. All right.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I
All those in
so
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute. Who made the motion?
Oh, I thought you were doing it, Michael.
I thought Michael
So
was
I-
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought he was too.
that
Oh,
was my
okay.
motion.
Second?
Me.
Was it you?
I'll do a second. Yes.
Catherine. Okay.
I'm busting out. I'm busting out tonight.
Well, thank you for joining us from the Adirondacks.
Oh, thank you. I'm amazed it worked because we have really bad service up here, all via satellite. So
Wow.
it pulled together though very nicely. Good to see all your faces.
Well, have a
All right,
nice
so
time.
we're adjourned?
We are adjourned.
All right.
See you next
Thank
time.
you, Sherry.
All right.
Everybody.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Andrea.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.